everyone, my name is Domian on the Arc Truth. I'm gonna come out clean here. I did not see the live stream of the Democratic Party debate. But I did go look back on the footage and saw that it was just full of cringe. I mean, if this is the best that the Democrats can come up with, it's clear that Donald Trump is gonna win the election. It really is. At this point, not just because of the amount of people who are currently in the running for the presidency, at least from the Democratic Party side, but also the massive amount of division inside of them. And all of this has shown as a result of just within this debate. So, I'm going to be breaking it down a little bit. At the first, there was about the whole talk about taxation, which was definitely an issue because, well, during the first part of Donald Trump's presidency, he managed to bring out tax cuts, especially for corporations, which actually helped a lot of, not just corporations to earn more money and to further invest in new jobs here in the United States, but also to give new pay raises to their own employees, and even at certain times, financial gifts in the sum of a few $1,000s, some around maybe $4,000 to $5,000. And yet, these guys are into the idea that this is becoming unfair because it's suddenly helping the 1%, which at this point, I think it's the whole idea of the 1% is just the same, because man, it's what they're talking about is supporting an increase of a corporate tax, which is going to affect every single corporation, not just the big companies, but the smaller companies as well. I'm pretty sure even a local store would have a big problem with this. So many people have actually come out supporting this. Some have a different issue of a different tax rate. One time, Beto O'Rourke, and he said part of his answer in Spanish, he actually mentioned that he supported a fair system with a 20% increase in the corporate tax rate. I mean, let's forget how the whole tax cuts that Donald Trump passed managed to not only grow the economy, but also supported jobs and raised wages. I mean, seriously, how is it that a lot of these people do not understand that? I mean, I know they're on the left, but but they have to see how this is this is actually should be considered to be a working policy that's being supported by the Trump administration. And it's just the fact that a whole majority of the Democratic Party, and I'm pretty sure it's supported by everyone on that stage tonight, is supportive of the idea of a 70% increased corporate tax rate is just laughable. It really is, especially considering how the Democrats are now seen as the establishment and the ones that are trying to demolish Donald Trump's presidency, considering that he was elected by back in 2016 under a right-wing populist movement. Now let's go further on the idea of abortion, which is going to be the second thing I'm going to be talking about. I think it's already clear. Every Democrat believes in the whole idea of a woman's right to choose, but this is when the idea of identity politics is shown even clearer. Because forget Beto O'Rourke answering that corporate tax rate question somewhat in Spanish earlier. A few of the candidates mentioned that apparently they happen to actually support they've been fighting for the woman's right to choose for such a long time, and they're playing the idea of the woman card throughout throughout the entire debate. Oh my god, it's very cringy, and I find it cringy as well how my own governor in my own state, Jay Inslee of Washington, actually came out against the idea of an insurance company not allowing insurance over the idea of abortion due to religious opposition within the insurance company that may support religious practices. I mean, forget about the idea of how that may conflict with the First Amendment, which is the freedom of expression as well as freedom of assembly and freedom of practicing religion. Forget about that. It is about the woman. So yeah, it's the way that I seriously do not believe whatsoever that any of these candidates has a shot at Trump. The only one that I can see who may actually have the closest thing to a fighting match against Donald Trump is Joe Biden. And right now he is slipping in the polls. All because of the whole what he said about trying to work with segregationist Democrats to pass the Civil Rights Act of 1965, I believe it was. And a lot of the candidates apparently were upset by that. And a lot of Democrats were as well. I think it's pretty stupid that they would be upset with this because in this case I would agree with Joe Biden in the case of trying to work with other people from the other side. But again, the entire Democratic Party is now in the idea of supporting identity politics, socialism, SJWism, that's what I call it, and just the idea of feelings over facts. And that's obviously showing because according to NBC, there's been a poll that's been conducted yesterday when just prior to the debate that happened today on MoveOn.org, where apparently Warren became the top choice for registered Democrats at 38%. Only behind her is Bernie Sanders, which is 17%. And finally, with Joe Biden and Pete Buttigieg, sorry, they have the weirdest names. Currently tied for third place. So it's obviously being shown here. If this is what the Democrats have when it comes to their pick for the 2020 candidate for president of the United States, they are screwed. Because all they're doing right now is just trying to virtue signal, trying to be I support all of these measures because they are a fundamental human right. In fact, that's what they said, especially in the idea of health care. They support the idea that it should be free and how it should be a human right, even though I never got the idea how that would be a human right. I really don't, because it's usually about the individual responsibility about taking care of yourself, but that's a whole nother story. They even went so far as so far of the idea of trying to build a bureaucracy to provide adequate health care to everyone, but at the same time, they said we shouldn't take away their right to private insurance, which is very strange how they say that. They want to give all Americans insurance by the government for free. Well, it's not really for free, because considering that you will be taxed to pay for that sort of program. Yet they say that they think that the Americans should have their right to choose whatever health insurance they want. I think that's an oxymoron right there. It really seems like an oxymoron because it's very conflicting. It really is. I do not understand how they come up with that sort of logic. Plus, at the same time, what if people do not want health insurance? Either maybe because it's too expensive, or they just simply do not want it. That thinking that they may be fine or something. I don't know. That's a different precedent. People have different preferences. So what about those people? You can't have both ways. And if this is what the Democrats have as their best, they are screwed. Donald Trump is going to paint them as socialists when it comes to the whole healthcare debate. They're going to call them un-American, considering that they support he would easily call them I wouldn't say murderers, but what would be the best word for supporters of, in a way for supporting heavily on abortion, like not simply in the pro-choice stance, but in the taking it so far, just making it free for everyone and just it's candy and stuff. I don't know. And anyway, he'll easily paint it that way, and he will probably even tie that with the immigration debate as well. I'm pretty sure, because that was even a bigger topic too. One time, I think it was either Cory Booker or Beto O'Rourke that actually said this: the Democratic Party needs to be the party of immigrants. What about Americans? I mean, don't get me wrong. I have no problems with immigrants so long as, one, they come in legally, and two, they are great citizens of the United States. I have no problem with that, as long as they meet those two requirements. So why not focus on the Americans' interests? Why are they not focusing on American interest? That really perplexes me. Anyway, that's what he will use to paint with the whole abortion issue, including the immigration, and of course just the idea of taking away people's money as a result of these tax increases. So yeah, I honestly think that Donald Trump is going to have this in the bag. I think that whoever is going to be the next nominee for the Democrats in 2020 is going to be seriously have his or her ass kicked. That's what I believe. And while Joe Biden may currently have a good standing in the polls, his major slip obviously is becoming a major issue that he needs to work out. So I don't know if this is going to be a temporary thing or a permanent thing, but I'm pretty sure it's going to still affect him, given the early voting for the primaries in New Hampshire, in Iowa, and in South Carolina. I'm pretty sure by the time that happens, by that time those happen, Joe Biden's issue with that whole segregationist, not really segregationist, but compromising with these segregationist Democrats, is gonna still have an impact on him and on his numbers. But that is way into the future. Right now, we still do not have the clear idea of who the nominee for president for the Democrats is at this point. But for right now, polls are showing that the major people on the state are going to be either Elizabeth Warren, Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, and Buttigieg. Sorry. Those are the four candidates that are currently in the top ranking spot according to the poll. And honestly, at this point, I do not see the Democrats winning in either scenario. My name is Noah Meehan of the Arc of Truth. Please post your comments down below, like this video, share it, and subscribe. Also, if there are any issues that you have with any of my videos, be sure to either message me or post any criticism down in the comments below. Thank you.
Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountain.